Good evening students. Today we are going to start first chapter of Vistas, the third level. Before starting this chapter, let us talk about Jack Finney, the author of the chapter. Jack Finney is an American author and he has written science fictions as well as thrillers. One of his famous novel is Body Invasions, and a movie was also made on this novel. Before starting this, let me ask you one question. Have you ever had any curious experience which others find hard to believe? Sometimes it happens in our life that we experience something very strange, and when we narrate it to someone, the fellow he won't believe that it is possible for us to experience this strange thing. In this chapter also you will find that something strange happened. This is a science fiction. The presidents of the New York Central and the New York, New Haven, Hartford railroads will swear on a stack of timetables that there are only two. But I say there are three because I have been on the third level of the Grand Central Station. What narrator is saying is that there are two levels at New York Central Railway Station, and even the timetable says that there are only two levels from where trains depart. But what he is saying is that I have been to the third level of Grand Central Station, and I am very much sure about existence of this third level. Yes, I have taken the obvious step. I talked to a psychiatrist friend of mine among others. I told him about the third level at Grand Central Station, and he said it was a waking dream wish fulfillment. And when he experienced this, that he ventured there to third level, the first thing that he did is he went there to his psychiatrist friend and he narrated everything to him. And his friend, he explained that it was nothing but waking dream wish fulfillment. Wish fulfillment is when our desires are fulfilled. Now when we are not able to fulfill our desires there in real life, we fulfill these desires in dreams or daydreams. This is called as waking dream wish fulfillment. He said, I was unhappy. That made my wife kind of mad. Obviously, you fulfill your desires in dreams if you are not happy with your reality. And when he narrated this, obviously his wife was not happy to listen this. She was kind of mad that what is the reason why her husband is so unhappy that he is going there, or he is seeing these dreams or daydreams. But he explained that he meant the modern world is full of insecurity, fear, war, worry and all the rest of it, and that I just want to escape. Then his friend, who was a psychiatrist, he further explained that what he is talking about, he is talking about the insecurities which are very common there in the modern world. He was talking about fear, war, worry, all these things which are very common there in modern world. And he further explained that this protagonist or narrator, he just wanted to escape from them. Now this escapism is something very common in human beings. We all want to escape from unpleasant realities, and for that we go there in the world of fantasy. This is called as escapism. Well, who doesn't? Now when this explanation was given by his friend, who was a psychiatrist, he said that who is not unhappy in his life? All these things, insecurities related to job or other things, war, worry, everything is common with others too. Then why only me? And everybody I know wants to escape, but they don't wander down there at any third level at Grand Central Station. And he further said that his friends, his acquaintances, all of them, they are also facing same sort of worries, but no one wanders there, no one roamed there or reached there to third level. But that's the reason. He said, and my friends all agreed. Everything points to it, they claimed. My stamp collecting, for example, that's a temporary refuge from reality. Now further his friend, he said that everything related to me is pointing out towards this tendency of escapism in me. And even my friends, they also agreed with his opinion. And they said that I have this tendency of stamp collecting, this hobby of stamp collecting. Now this philately is nothing but temporary refuge. Refuge is shelter from reality. You know, when you are collecting a stamp which belonged to olden time, you go there, you move there to that time for some time, far from the reality of present. So what his friend said, that this habit also indicates that you want to go there in past life or the life where these worries are not there. Well, maybe. He said, might be. It is true. But my grandfather didn't need any refuge from reality. Things were pretty nice and peaceful at his times. Now what he said is that this stamp collection was started by his grandfather. And in the times of his grandfather, no such worries, no such insecurities were there. It was very peaceful time at the time. So there was no reason that he wanted to escape. Then why he started this stamp collection? From all I hear, and he started my collection. It was his grandfather who started this collection. It's a nice collection too. Blocks of 4 of practically every US issue, first day covers and so on. President Roosevelt collected stamps too, you know. Now what he is saying is that it is a very nice collection, and he further gave an example that American President Roosevelt, he was also fond of collecting stamps. Anyway, now he is going to explain that exactly what happened there at Grand Central that day. Anyway, here's what happened at Grand Central. One night last summer, I worked late at the office. I was in a hurry to get uptown to my apartment, so I decided to take the subway from Grand Central because it's faster than the bus. Now he's narrating exactly what happened that day. He was quite late at office. He was working there and he wanted to go back home little fast, and that is why he decided that he will take a subway rather than bus, because subway from Grand Central is faster as compared to bus. This was the reason why that particular day he reached there to Grand Central. Now I don't know why this should have happened to me. I am just an ordinary guy named Charlie, 31 years old, and I was wearing a tan gabardine suit and straw hat with a fancy band. Now he is describing himself that he is 31 years old. His name is Charlie. And he is saying that I don't know why this happened to me. I am absolutely an ordinary guy, and even the clothes that he was wearing, they were quite ordinary. And at the time when he was there at station, at least dozens of other men, they were also wearing the same clothes. So nothing was extraordinary or special about this 31-year-old man whose name is Charlie. I passed a dozen men who looked just like me, and I wasn't trying to escape from anything. I just wanted to get home to Louisa, my wife. And at the time when he reached there, the only thing that was in his mind to reach his wife Louisa as fast as possible, because he was quite late at the office. Nothing like escapism was there in his mind. He was not thinking about escaping anything. I turned into Grand Central from Vanderbilt Avenue and went down the steps to the first level, where you take trains like the 20th century. He entered there at the Grand Central from Vanderbilt Avenue. Vanderbilt is basically reception area of this Grand Central station. He entered there and finally he first reached there to first level. Now first level is meant for intercity trains like 20th century. It's name of a train. So first he reached there to first level. Then I walked down another flight to the second level flight, basically or for stairs. Then he took stairs and he went down to second level. Now this second level is for intra-city trains or commuters train. You can compare it with present day metro trains. Where the suburban trains leave from, ducked into an arched doorway heading for the subway and got lost. Here at this particular level, from second level, he has taken one subway. It was arched. He entered, ducked when you bend down to enter somewhere. He entered there in that subway and he got lost. That's easy to do and it was not even unusual. I have been in and out of Grand Central hundreds of times, but I am always bumping into new doorways and stairs and corridors. Now what he is explaining that it is a very big place. This station Grand Central is a big place and every time, hundreds of times he came here and every time he entered there in one or the other new corridor or subway. So it is nothing new for him to find this new subway today. Then he's giving few examples of what happened to him on previous occasions too. Once I got into a tunnel about a mile long and came out in a lobby of the Roosevelt Hotel. Another time I came up in an office building on 46th Street, 3 blocks away. So this was not new for him. He has taken subways that were, that reached to some different place, not to his destination. So it was something very common. Every time when he comes there to this place, he finds one or the other new way or corridor. Sometimes I think Grand Central is growing like a tree. Now see, there is simply a comparison. What he is saying is that sometimes I feel that just like the roots of a tree, this Grand Central is also expanding itself, pushing out new corridors and staircases like roots. There is probably a long tunnel that nobody knows about, feeling its way under the city right now, on its way to Times Square and maybe another to Central Park. This is just to let you know that how every other day you find a new corridor or a new subway there at Grand Central. And he is comparing this Grand Central, these corridors and these tunnels with that of roots of a tree. Maybe because for so many people through the years, Grand Central has been an exit, a way of escape. Now see, this particular thing shows you that what he feels. He also feels that this place, Grand Central, may be a source of exit or escape for many people. Maybe that's how the tunnel I got into, and he himself is saying that maybe it is the reason why that day, that particular tunnel which reached there to the 3rd level, he was able to found. But I never told my psychiatrist friend about that idea, but he has not shared his opinion, this opinion with his friend. Obviously, he will make, his psychiatrist friend will make an opinion that he is having this tendency of escape. And already he told him that your stamp collection, the way you were able to reach there to 3rd level, all this says that you have that tendency of escapism. The corridor I was in began angling left and slanting downwards, and I thought that was wrong. He started there in that corridor. Now it started turning towards left and then it was further slanting downwards, and at that time he realized that he has taken a wrong subway. But still he kept on walking. All I could hear was the empty sound of my own footsteps, and I didn't pass a soul. He was only listening the echo of his own footsteps. Not a single person he met there in the corridor. Then I heard that sort of hollow roar ahead. That means open space and people talking. And then he heard some sound was coming, and this suggested that at the end of this tunnel there is an open space and people are there and they are talking. The tunnel turned sharp left. I went down a short flight of stairs and came out on the 3rd level of the Grand Central Station. And then again this tunnel took a sharp left turn, and then further he found a flight of stairs, and when he went there, he came out of this tunnel, he found that he was there at 3rd level. For just a moment I thought I was back on the 2nd level, but I saw the room was smaller. Now see children, a question comes that what were the differences that you find there at 3rd level? So you need to take care that exactly what was the difference there at this level and how he was able to find out that it is not 2nd level but it is 3rd level. The differences are there in this coming paragraph, right? Now what he saw is that particular room, it was little bit smaller as compared to 2nd level. There were fewer ticket windows. The first difference that he found was that there were less number of ticket windows and train gates. And the information booth in the center was wood. The second difference was the information booth which was there in the center, it was of wood and old looking, and this booth, it looked quite old. And the men in the booth wore a green eye shade and long black sleeve protectors. The lights were dim and sort of flickering. The third difference is that the lights were a bit dim as compared to 2nd level, and they were flickering. Flickering when there is rapid movement of flame, it's flickering. Then I saw why, and then suddenly he find out the reason that why it is dim and why these are they are flickering. They were open flame gas lights. Then he realized that there were no electric bulbs, rather there were open flame gas lights which were lit there at this 3rd level. There were brass spittoons on the floor. Spittoons are basically containers to spit out. And across the station, a glint of light caught my eye. A man was pulling a gold watch from his vest pocket. Now he saw that spittoons were there, and then he saw that a man was using a gold watch. He took it out from his pocket. He snapped open the cover, glanced at his watch and frowned. He wore a derby hat, a black 4-button suit with tiny lapels, and he had a big black handlebar moustache. Now see, the clothes that he was wearing, this man was wearing, they were altogether different from what Charlie was wearing. They were quite old fashioned, or you can say they were having retro look. Then I looked around and saw that everyone in this station was dressed like 1890 something. And it is not only this particular fellow, but all others, they were wearing something that was common in 1890s. So this was again a big difference that he noticed there at 3rd level. I never saw so many beards. Might be at that time, different beards were in fashion. Sideburns, fancy moustaches in my life. A woman walked in through the train gate. She wore a dress with leg of mutton sleeves and skirts to the top of her high buttoned shoes. Now he is explaining that what the lady who came there, she was wearing high buttoned shoes, and then the dress with leg of mutton sleeves. This is type of sleeves. Back to her, out on the tracks, I caught a glimpse of a locomotive, a very small Currier and Ives locomotive with a funnel-shaped stack, and then I knew. And then he saw that there was a train coming, and he at once saw that it resembled with what he saw there in Currier and Ives lithographs. It was same locomotive. It was a very small locomotive with funnel shaped stack, and at once he understood that he is there in 19th century. We'll continue with the lesson tomorrow.